We're back at it again with another Battlefront update. Well, we were told time and time again that the Gamescom community transmission would be massive, and man, oh man, DICE were not kidding. Capital Supremacy changes, clone Commandos, instant action, new droid skins, and even Rise of Skywalker content. Yeah, we're getting all of that and much more for 2019, which is looking to be the best year for the game in my opinion. Now, considering how today's transmission is incredibly long, then expect today's video to be just as long, so grab some popcorn, find somewhere comfy, and let's take it all in together. And before we get into any of that, but a quick reminder, as if you do like these type of videos, then do remember to give it a like to show your support for not only this update series, but also the content within it. With that out of the way, let's get into it. Starting out of the Gamescom community transmission, which actually talks about the August update first and then the September update a little later. But hey, remember those Capital Supremacy changes I told you about to expect? Well, they're gonna be rolling out on August 28 when the update hits. The first change DICE has made to the mode is actually to the capital ship phase, which should spice things up quite a lot. The assault on the capital ship will still continue to have two sub-phases, but both are now evolving. This time, once you've breached the enemy ship, you have 5 minutes to destroy it before the action returns to the ground. In order to destroy the ship, you must capture one of the two available command posts located on the ship. If you succeed in that, then your team will gain an additional 5 minutes and be able to fire on the enemy target. Any damage caused to the enemy target will be persistent, meaning even if you fail in destroying the target fully, you can pick up right after where you left off in later assault attempts. Next, DICE are changing the capital ship phases to be based on a timer. This means that the attacking team will now have a 5-minute window to destroy the generators. Once the time runs out, the battle will return to the ground phase. Oh, and yeah, there's also going to be some minor visual edits happening to Capital Supremacy 2, as DICE will be implementing some new changes to the artwork within the ships themselves. Which I'm not really sure why, because the interiors of the capital ships already look pretty good, so I'm really curious to see what DICE will be trying to improve there. But if you think that's it for Capital Supremacy, then no way, not even close. Because following the trend of making updates to Capital Supremacy, DICE will also be bringing a much requested and beloved feature to the game, the new contextual spawning system, which will allow you to spawn on dynamic tactical assets on the battlefront, starting with command posts in Capital Supremacy and instant action. So basically say that once you've been defeated in battle, you're going to be presented with the usual squad spawn menu as normal. But this time around, alongside your squad members, you're also going to be presented with a list of command posts to spawn onto as well. You're going to be able to spawn in any command post that your team is in full control over, which will spawn you close to the command post but at one of the preset spawn locations. If, however, the command post is contested but under your team's control, then you will spawn just a little further away from the command post at one of the preset spawn locations. Of course, you're not going to be able to spawn on the command post if it's under the enemy team's control, even if your team is contesting it, or if it's just a neutral command post that no one has captured yet. So yeah, by the sounds of it, it's not exactly going to be like the command post spawning that we all remember from Conquest in the original games, but still close enough. And really, this is the type of feature that should had really came out of the mode on release. DICE, of course, were stubborn at the time and didn't listen to us, but I'm glad they finally came around, and are now letting us spawn near command post locations than just on teammates. I wasn't expecting such a major change to Capital Supremacy like this to happen, but boy, will this make the mode so much more fun to play. In addition to this, both the Separatist Dreadnought and the Republic Venator will become playable maps for Heroes vs Villains mode. DICE have apparently taken areas from both capital ships and have turned them into playable locations that they believe will be great for the small-scale hero gameplay. Of course, there was also talk about before using this exact same small-scale locations for maps in arcade mode, but I'm pretty sure that idea is out the window now. And that's of course for reasons which will become obvious later on in this video. Although that's not all, as to round up the August update, DICE will also be introducing 3 new, different appearances for the B1 battle droids that will be available for all the trooper classes. The first appearance is called Pilot, and it's exactly what you would expect it to be, as it's the B1 pilot droid, but with the markings of R2-D2's own personal droid squad. Which, now that I think about it, it's kind of a weird choice to have as an appearance for the Seppies, but whatever, we'll roll with it. Next skin is called Jungle, and it's a perfect look for all the droids fighting in jungles and dense forest environments. I'm digging the camo on them, and I can see myself using this skin for sure, especially on maps like Kashyyyk. Well, really, I think only Kashyyyk really works for this skin, but regardless. The last one is called Training, and it's based off the training droids that the rookie clones on Kamino trained with. And this is a very weird third appearance choice, as from what I understand in canon, such a design never existed in the Separatist army, as it's something made by the Republic for, well, training simulations. So yeah, this skin makes as much sense as giving Iden her rebel appearance in multiplayer mode. I mean, it doesn't make sense canon-wise, but, you know, it's something, I guess. Personally, I would have preferred if DICE had given us this beauty instead, which is the security battle droid. Not only do they look better, but guess what? They're actually canon to the Separatist army, unlike the Republic training droids. So yeah, weird flex by DICE on the appearance area, however I do appreciate that they did try at the very least. I definitely wasn't expecting droid appearances, but I'll gladly take whatever we can get. But that's it for the August update. In addition, of course, to all that we just mentioned, Ben Walk also stated that there will be some bug fixes included in the update itself, which really should be a given as we've been expecting that for a while now. But a full list of bug fixes should be out with the patch notes on August 28th when the update itself is released. Next is the September update, and whoa, if you thought August was looking good, then I've got news for you. But September really takes the cake in all of this. First of all, Felucia, which we originally were supposed to get later in the fall, has been pushed up and now we're getting it in September instead. The description for the map is as follows. The Separatist invasion of Felucia is nearing its end, with only a single powerful vehicle left to cover the evacuation of a Felucian farming community. The clones struggle to maintain their last line of defense long enough for the Republic transports to collect a large cache of valuable medicinal plants from the village. As the droids advance towards the clones' position, the squad chooses to go on the offense, destroying the dreadnought responsible for the attack. However, the droids have a plan of their own. Ensure the Republic can't escape with the plants by bringing down the Venator. Just like with other capital Supremacy maps, Felucia is broken up into multiple areas of a set theme for each command post. The themes range from a traditional Felucian farm, a cave that used to be inhabited by an indigenous Rancor, or the remnants of the mighty Sarlacc. Felucia has been built from the ground up for capital Supremacy in mind, and is shaping up to be one of the best looking planets DICE have built to date. And by the sounds of it, it's clear that the Felucia map is taking cues from the Clone Wars TV show by including the Felucian farming communities, as well, even surprisingly, the Force Unleashed, as there is a Sarlacc on Felucia in that game. And well, it's the only time we've ever heard or seen of a Sarlacc on Felucia. So it's safe to say that in that case, there must be some Force Unleashed fans in the DICE dev team. Next in September, we're also getting a new PvE online mode that DICE simply call it the co-op mode. In this mode, you're gonna be teaming up with 3 other players online for a large-scale PvE adventure. You can choose to play as either the Galactic Republic or the Separatist Alliance and partake in massive battles on all 5 Clone Wars planets in Battlefront 2. Depending on what faction you've selected, the experience on each planet will be different. For example, the droid army will be invading the planet of Naboo, while defending if the battle moves to Geonosis. If you decide to play as the Grand Army of the Republic, then the roles will be reversed on each planet. In co-op mode, all troopers, reinforcements, vehicles, heroes, and villains will be available to play. However, the same is true for the AI, as the new AI system introduced in Capital Supremacy has been expanded upon to also feature vehicles, heroes, and villains in co-op mode. And yeah, you heard that right, Hero AI will finally be making its way to the game. We've talked about that for quite a bit on this channel, and it's about time we'll be getting to see the hero bots in the game. And in case anyone is worried, then Ben has also confirmed that the Hero AI will be making use of all the hero abilities. So it's going to be really close to facing human players offline, which is great to hear, but I'm still very curious to see how well the Hero AI will actually play. As for the co-op mode itself, well, by the sounds of it, it sounds almost exactly like Combined Arms mode from Battlefield 5, as I speculated in my last video. That mode proved to be a dud in Battlefield 5, but who knows if DICE didn't take the criticism seen there and improved upon things for Battlefront. Either way, it does seem like a neat little casual mode to play for buddies online, especially if you're looking to avoid the stress of the other multiplayer modes. As for offline play, well, DICE have us solo players covered there, as DICE is, get this, introducing instant action to Battlefront 2. The fan favorite mode is making its glorious return to the Battlefront franchise at last. In this mode, both teams will be fighting over 5 command posts like in Capital Supremacy, but the only difference is that there's not going to be a ship phase here. Instead, you're going to have to hold the majority of the command posts until your team's score reaches 100% to win the game. During that time, you're going to be able to use all the reinforcements, heroes, and vehicles to try and win, and so will the AI. Instant action is basically going to be that large-scale conquest mode that we all heard about from all those leaks from some_info last year. And what can I say, it feels so good to talk about this now finally coming to the game. Especially all those viewers that have been with this channel since the beginning, then you will remember I was one of the biggest advocates of offline play for Battlefront 2. Back in 2017, the future of offline play was, rather bleak, almost non-existent, and honestly, who would have thunk it? That in 2019 we're now getting instant action, which will not only satisfy the offline players immensely, but also add to the game's longevity, especially when the game's servers one day will die. That's something that online players don't really think about and understand the importance of this mode. Instant action was what kept the original games still playable when their online servers went out. So yeah, I'm very happy to see that now this game will also have a life once its multiplayer one day eventually ends. However, and yeah, there is a however here, but I am a little worried that DICE never mentioned the word split screen during the whole transmission. As if they somehow forgot to make instant action split screen compatible on consoles, I'm not sure. If that was the case, then that would be a major fail on their part. Now of course I'd love it if the PC version also had a LAN or a private match mode enabled too, but I can imagine that taking more time to do than a split screen on consoles. Either way, I do hope that this does get cleared up eventually soon. Oh, and yeah, before I forget, if you haven't noticed yet, instant action was originally supposed to be included in the August update, but has now been delayed to the September update. Which honestly isn't that bad, considering the amount of times Capital Supremacy kept getting delayed before. At the same time, I think Felucia getting moved up to September does make the instant action delay feel less painful. I mean, it's not great, but not terrible. And next for September, we've got, well, I hate to tell you I told you so, but... Oh, you know it, the Clone Commandos are coming to Battlefront 2 in all their shining glory. This long-awaited Republic reinforcement will act as the much-needed counter for the Droideka, and will be the Republic's most powerful unit on the battlefield. The Commando will even get his own reload animation, which is a neat little touch, and have the ability to switch from blaster to grenades for whatever situation they may find themselves in. But the reload animation won't be the only unique thing about him. As for an added cool factor, you're also gonna see the Commando making the change from primary fire to grenade himself, just like the Republic Commando game. In addition, DICE added all the necessary animations to ensure they stay as close to the source material of these guys as possible. The Clone Commando's primary weapon will be the DC-17M repeating blaster rifle, which was the gun leaked in the game files a while ago and a big clue that these Bacta boys were coming to the game. Their left ability will be the grenade launcher, while the right ability will be a short-range shockwave that disorients enemies and knocks them a peg back. The middle ability will be Battle Focus, which activates a damage protection aura for the Commando and nearby allies. Additionally, any damage the Commando deals to enemies replenishes his base health too. And while it's not listed here, but Ben Walk also confirmed that Commandos will have their Vibroblade as their melee attack. Again, just like the Republic Commando game. Man, I'm thinking if anything, playing the new co-op mode with 3 other players all playing as Clone Commandos, then that's seriously gonna be as close to what we'll ever get to a new Republic Commando game. All that's really missing now is giving Commandos that first-person view, and we'd really be in business. Although, I'm gonna be honest, I'm not too surprised that we got Clone Commandos unlike a lot of other people in the community. If anything, it's kinda crazy to see how much people doubted that DICE were bringing Commandos to the game in the first place. Now, you guys know me, I was a firm believer that Commandos were coming to the game from the start, and I didn't fall for any of the false flags by DICE like a lot of other folks did. I mean, if you've covered the game for as long as I did, then yeah, you learn how to pick out DICE's riddles from the facts. Which I countlessly time and time again had to explain to people not to look too much into DICE's riddles, as we had a whole list of evidence, leaks, and teases that was well enough to tell us that Commandos had to be coming. As I mentioned in my last video, Ben Walk was doing his best to say almost anything to try and get people off the trail, which I'm surprised a lot of people actually believed. Like this one non-answer by him that Clone Commandos are just a rumor, don't believe everything you read or hear on the internet. Which, funny enough, he was also including himself there as his own message was also on the internet too, so you weren't supposed to really believe that as well. It was a cheeky little message if anything. Or better yet, this recent tweet that really caused a lot of people to lose faith in Commandos entirely, when someone asked Ben on Twitter if Delta Squad was the prophecy, and Ben said it was not. Which, I mean, he didn't lie there. The Clone Commandos that we're getting are normal Clone Commandos, not Delta Squad, which are a unique bunch of Commandos. Ben even cleared this up today by saying that Clone Commandos were indeed the prophecy, just not Delta Squad. I worked in PR and community management before, and wording is always key here. Unless something is stated word by word that it's not coming, then never assume it's cancelled. But yeah, I just wanted to show all of this to all those non-believers out there because it's gonna play into something else later in the video. The whole point of this is to show and remind people that DICE will never outright admit or say something is coming to the game before they're allowed to say so. I've been stressing that since Capital Supremacy, then when Droidicas came out, and now again with Clone Commandos. But before we continue on with that, I do want to quickly make a mention that DICE will be running another community challenge in September, which will grant players a new Luke skin that Ben has been teasing us as of late. According to the transmission, the new Luke skin is from A New Hope. However, whether it's the Farm Boy Luke or Yavin 4 Luke with the yellow jacket still remains to be seen. I'm personally fine with either or, but I've got a sneaking suspicion it could be the Yavin 4 Luke because on the roadmap, we've got an image of Yavin 4 rather than Tatooine when mentioning that event. So if anything, that could possibly be a hint from DICE on what Luke skin we could very well be getting. As for that roadmap itself, yeah, as I mentioned in another video, we were due for a new roadmap and got just that today. For the most part, we were already told of all the roadmap contents in the transmission we got today. However, there are 2 parts here that are completely new. First is the Rise of Skywalker content, which will release in December and give us an entire new large-scale map. or as DICE like to refer it, as a new planet. Which new planet that's gonna be, well, we don't know, but so far the new planets that we did see in The Rise of Skywalker, I don't know, they're not really the most interesting or really that stand out that much. There's a desert planet, a snow planet, a jungle planet, not really that much unique options there. But whatever DICE do pick out, I'm sure it's gonna be something cool. Maybe it's gonna be the Death Star ruins, who knows. In addition to that, we're also going to be getting new appearances in December as well, which I'm guessing likely will be for Rey, Kylo, and Finn. Finally, to the point I was trying to make before, well, that refers to the new heroes, Ashoka and Ventress. As I've seen a lot of people be disappointed with today's transmission due to them not being included on it. And well, fortunately, I've got something that should give you all a lot of hope. As while they're not included on the transmission itself, they are most likely on the roadmap in the typical indirect DICE fashion. And I'm referring to the new reinforcement and the new reinforcement appearance bit that's only seen on the new roadmap. So I thought it was incredibly strange that out of everything on the roadmap that DICE decided to at least make a mention of in the transmission, that they left this one part out, and now I think I know why, as it refers to Ashoka and Ventress. And yeah, I know what you're gonna say. If it was Ashoka and Ventress, shouldn't it say new heroes and appearances instead? Yes and no. Think about it, if it said new heroes, then that would take away too much attention from everything else DICE are allowed to talk about right now. I mean, look at the Droidekas, or better yet, the clone Commandos. Ben was trying his best to try to get people to not know that Commandos were coming just days before the announcement. And these heroes are supposed to come out way later, so obviously they won't spill the beans just yet. And remember, considering that DICE refer to vehicles as reinforcements because, well, they are in the reinforcement menu, then the very same applies to heroes, which, guess what, are also in the reinforcement menu. Not to mention, heroes are the only reinforcements in the game that have different appearances too. So by DICE saying new reinforcements and new reinforcement appearances are coming, then I'd say new hero reinforcements like Ashoka and Ventress are a lock to happen. And hey, we've known DICE long enough right now after the Droideka and the Clone Commando debates that they're rarely straightforward and play word games to avoid revealing too much too early on. Not to mention, I've always been saying that Ashoka and Ventress will likely be released the same time as Clone Wars Season 7 is, as that's basically the perfect time to put them out there. And guess what? These new so-called reinforcements with appearances are coming out in the fall, around the same time Clone Wars Season 7 on Disney Plus is expected to release. Coincidence? I think not. Granted, like I've said about Droidekas and Clone Commandos in the past, while I'm very confident in this happening, nothing is ever guaranteed of DICE. And sure, this could just be some random reinforcement units, or some random new vehicles too, because remember, vehicles are considered as reinforcements as well. But then, when we really think about it, just how long Ashoka and Ventress have been in development behind the scenes, at least according to some _info's leaks, then that really puts things into perspective. As remember, DICE have a smaller sized team working on Battlefront 2, and if they've been working on these two heroes all throughout 2019, then as a team they've committed to making that happen, as they're in no position to simply scrap them out last minute. Too much time, money, and resources were invested in those two for that to happen. And let's face it, Clone Wars Season 7 coming out is big news. To the point, the Battlefront 2 team themselves even attended the announcement for it back at Star Wars Celebration, which Dennis Branville himself even teased in saying that they've got some work to do after witnessing the trailer for it. And Kevin Johnson, who works for EA, even posted a GIF of Ahsoka to boot too. Now, I'm not forcing anyone to completely believe in all of this, but rather for you all to make up your own minds and just remember the facts. That just like of Droidekas and Commandos, the list evidence of Ashoka and Ventress is rather large, and DICE, well, we all know how they can be with their riddles and false flags, especially for something that hasn't even been announced yet. They like to keep things under wraps as long as possible, even though they do like to throw out little teases now and then. And last but not least, people were also disappointed about new weapons not getting mentioned in the community transmission today, with one person on Twitter asking Dennis Branville about it. And Dennis's answer to it, however, as you can see, definitely wasn't what people were expecting, and as you can assume, the comments directed back at him weren't exactly the kindest on the internet. So sadly, it still looks that, at least on the new weapons front, that DICE are unsure on how to deliver them to the game, at least in a way that would make all players happy. But that'll do it for this Battlefront update. As always, if you enjoyed this video, please like it, share it, and subscribe to the channel to not only support it, but keep up with Star Wars news, gaming, and canon lore released every week. And consider following me on Twitter and Facebook to never miss out on the latest Star Wars related content. Thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.